Hi, this is Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. Thank you for joining us on this special live stream with Representative Lauren Boebert. Representative Boebert represents Colorado. It's the western part of Colorado. She is a freshman. She is a passionate supporter of the Second Amendment, and I really thought it was important to bring her on this air so people can hear how somebody who's brand new to Congress, really been there just a little over a year, brand new to Congress, how she's reacting as somebody who's more like you and me than them to this push for gun control and how it's playing back home a little bit. Representative Boebert, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Rick. I appreciate being on with you today.
Well, it's our pleasure. It's truly an honor to have you with us. Let's get right down to it. You ran for office. People didn't give you a chance. You challenged an incumbent Republican, and you won. And you were pretty strong in terms of supporting the Second Amendment as being one of the reasons you were running. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you became a member of Congress?
Sure. Well, I've decided to run for Congress just because I was frustrated with the overreach of government. I so appreciate all of your efforts with wanting to limit government, because that's what this is all about. Our founding fathers, when they liberated a nation, they came together and formed this government and wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And they wanted a government that was so strong and powerful that it could fight off tyranny and oppression from other parts of the world. But they also wanted a government that was so limited that it could not impose those that same tyranny and oppression on its own people. And right now we have so many elected officials who don't understand that. They truly believe it is their proper role to limit and regulate the people. And they don't understand that the power comes from people. That is where government's powers are derived from. And the Second Amendment is all about power. The Second Amendment is what ensures the people of these United States have power against a tyrannical government. And it is that ultimate check and balance. So I ran because I got frustrated. I saw too many politicians giving our freedoms away. The Constitution does not guarantee us freedom. The Constitution does not guarantee us rights. It is there to guarantee that those rights are protected. These are our God-given rights. These are unalienable, and they are these are our natural laws. And so I am so glad to be here and be a strong voice to secure freedom and liberty for each and every American, whether they agree with my politics or not, whether they agree with the issues that I stand on. I want them to be free and be able to speak up about that. But I did take on a 5-term incumbent. It was the first time in 48 years in the state of Colorado that an incumbent lost in a primary. So it was a sign and a wonder to all of the unbelievers that I was able to win that by 10 points with no money, with no name recognition. And it's been incredible to just keep pioneering the way for people who did not come into politics through the normal avenues that you would normally see people arriving to a position like this, starting at a city council level or a state legislature and moving up into the federal government. I knew that something needed to be done in a big way to secure our rights and freedom. So that's why I'm here. And the Second Amendment I knew was going to be a battle. There are many, many other battles that we fight, but this one certainly is worth speaking up about.
Well, and I hope there's lots of reinforcements on the way in the next election, because we need more Lauren Boeberts in Congress who are willing to mix it up, regardless of partisan or other considerations to fight for freedom. So thank you very much for taking the risk, for going out on a limb, putting yourself in harm's way, really, because you get attacked from a lot of different ways, and you probably, when you got elected, you had no idea that it only just begun. But let's talk a little bit about the gun ban kind of frenzy that's going on right now. What's going on? Yesterday, you were in a press conference with, I think, Majority Leader Scalise and others. Tell us a little bit about what happened, what motivated that, and how the Republican conference is kind of shaping up in terms of dealing with this move towards banning guns.
Right. Well, I was hoping that no Republican would side with these gun grabs that we saw yesterday come through the House of Representatives. But unfortunately, there were 10 that did side with Democrats. And it's really alarming that there are so many people who say, I'm here to defend your rights, and then will give those up on knee-jerk reaction, emotional legislation that is put forward. So we had 8 pieces of gun grabbing legislation that the leftists call common sense, but there's nothing common sense about removing constitutional rights. There's nothing common sense about red flag laws, about banning gun accessories, or how you can store your firearm in your own personal home, or ghost guns. The Second Amendment is very clear. We have the right to keep and bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed. There's no comma after that statement. It is a period, and our founding fathers understood that. And so right now we have this emotional legislation that has come forward. Look, we all mourn with the loss of the lives of those children in Uvalde. That was a terrible, terrible tragedy. In fact, in the House of Representatives, we had a moment of silence for those children. The names were read of the victims of that tragedy right there in the House of Representatives. However, there were 47 people killed just this past weekend, just this past weekend. And I think 9 lost their lives in the city of Chicago. And I don't remember a moment of silence for them. And so Chicago obviously has very strict gun laws. And if this legislation worked, then cities like New York, Chicago, LA, they would look more like Mayberry. They would be safer than Mayberry. But that's not how this works. The criminals are not going to check what laws have just been passed before they go and break laws. It is still illegal to do the activities that they are doing. And murder is absolutely illegal. And that does not stop them. So we need to have an equalizer, a way to protect ourselves. And, of course, when there's a mass shooting, that grabs at the heartstrings of Americans across our nation. And it is very, very detrimental. However, when we hear about these mass shootings, they are always in gun-free zones. And that right there is very telling. Gun-free zones are deadly. Whenever there is an armed citizen that is present where they are legally able to carry their firearm, then the mass shooting stops before it becomes that. The FBI once reported that the average mass shooting kills 13 people, where an armed citizen being present reduces that number to 2, the first victim and the shooter himself. So that's where we need to start. We need to start with making our schools actually more gun friendly, having certified teachers be able to carry, retired veterans who are able to be there, having armed security in our schools. We can make our schools secure without infringing on the rights of American law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, one of the things I think that's most shocking was in Uvalde that there were children calling 911 for 40 minutes.
Right.
And the police were there.
Yes.
A mother drives 40 miles back to the school and gets detained, breaks away, and goes in and gets her kids out, while law enforcement stood on the outside trying to figure out what to do. The bottom line is those are hard decisions for law enforcement. I wasn't there. I don't know what decisions were being made, what they did. Okay, we'll find that out later. But the bottom line is, in a situation like that, it seems to me paramount that we do something about the basic idea of how we deal with these. And the idea of hide in place and cower in place seems to be one that never works.
Right.
It's fight or flight, and there's nothing wrong with either. But sitting around and waiting to be shot seems like a really bad idea. But I'm not going to ask you to comment on that. That's me. I do want you to comment on this. Isn't it ironic? Don't you find it ironic that people who have been aggressively seeking to defund the police, people who've been aggressively seeking to release people from prison without serving their terms, or not allow them to get out without bail, have effectively deconstructed our criminal justice system and are doing it at the prosecution level, they're doing it at the police chief level, they're doing it at the funding level for the police. Those are the people who want to take away guns. Don't you find it ironic to hear these people talk about their concern for on crime and children when they in fact want to make it so people can't defend their households at a time when they want to eliminate the cops so nobody's coming when they call 911?
Rick, that's exactly the point. These people who shout that we need to defund the police also pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for their own private security. And so in a time now where our law enforcement officers have been attacked, have been demonized, and even been defunded in some liberal areas, this is a time where we are seeing record amounts of gun sales because people understand that they need to take their own personal protection into their own hands and have a way to protect themselves. John Adams said that liberty once lost is lost forever. And so I certainly won't be passing legislation that restricts law-abiding citizens while failing to actually secure our schools and create safer societies. And I certainly am not going to call to defund our law enforcement. Now, remember, just a few months ago, the United States Capitol building was surrounded by a fence and miles of razor wire and 26,000 armed National Guard. We can have that here for legislators, but not for our children. I would say that the higher an asset's value, the more secure it needs to be. And our children certainly are our country's highest value. And so with all of these people who are shouting for gun control, gun regulation to limit the ability to protect yourself, whether it be with a semi-automatic handgun or an AR-15, then it is hypocrisy, because these are the people who are guarded by those very same weapons on a daily basis.
Well, and you see that every day when you walk into the Capitol, how even now with the razor wire down, you have Capitol Police officers wearing soft body armor. They're carrying not semi-automatic weapons, they're carrying fully automatic weapons. And they are, in fact, prepared to defend the Capitol. Apparently not so much a while ago, but now they are. And it's and so you've actually see that, you experience it. Let me ask you, you come at this from a perspective of being new. You haven't been around for 10 years, 20 years, how do you react when you see this craziness? How do you deal with the kind of the craziness of people saying one thing one day, another thing another day, and, and not being held accountable at all for essentially saying we need to defund police, but we need to take away citizens' right to protect themselves. And, I want to say, and I want to protect children and women somehow in the mix of that. How do you deal with that? Because this has got to be new to you, and you must come away shaking your head some days.
Every day. So every day I walk away shaking my head. However, I think I'm here. I know I'm here because I was seeing this from the outside looking in. So many people in their hypocrisy saying one thing that does not actually solve the problems that we are seeing, and just having these knee-jerk reactions as so-called solutions, but all they do is restrict law-abiding citizens. So it's interesting. Everyone knows that Congress does not work well. The way this place operates is unlike any other. You cannot successfully run a business the way Congress is run. However, you get here and there are those people who have been here for 10, 20, 30 years, and they say, oh, no, this is how we do things around here. Well, I don't want to know how you do things around here because it ain't working. We need a brand new way of doing things. And that's why we're seeing thousands of people across our nation stepping up to do to serve their country, to do their part in serving our country. And so I'm proud to be one of those who said, I have to do something. It's not enough to just sit at home and complain about these politicians who are putting forward faux solutions. I want to be there with a real solution to put forward, and to be a voice for the vision that our founding fathers had for this great ideal of the United States of America, and this beacon on a hill. So I'm proud to be here at this time. But if we want to see less shootings here in America, let's get God back in our institutions, back in school. Let's stop promoting culture that praises drug use and reckless use of firearms. We need to stop trying to fix mental and spiritual problems with secular solutions.
Wow, that's I couldn't have said it better. That is really just right on. The one of the things that Americans for Limited Government is doing is we're asking people to contact Congress, now the Senate, and which is actively negotiating what will be reasonable gun control, Republicans and Democrats alike. So there's no this is not partisan. This is a threat that's bipartisan, and particularly red flag laws. So
Mhm.
we wanted to. So we've asked people. We put up a little banner here asking people to go to getliberty.org, click on the Stop Biden Gun Ban, and in doing so, they would get the ability to go off and contact Congress, contact
Yes.
your office, contact the senators from Colorado or their own senators,
Mhm.
and let them know to oppose the Biden gun bans. So that's something that we're hoping people will do. What are other things that you now have been on the receiving end of 15 months or so of constituent input? What are some of the effective things that people can do to reach their member of Congress and actually encourage them, politely encourage them to take action and be bolder in defense of freedom?
Yes. Well, first of all, joining groups like yours. This is so important to get with organizations who are in the right fight and going the right direction and who are strong advocates for what we believe in. But being a member of Congress, I know how important it is to get those phone calls from constituents. My phone rings all day long. We have people answering. Sometimes the chief and I are even answering phones because the phone is ringing so much. And I enjoy those phone calls. Even the phone calls that we have, that maybe start off with some opposition, to actually sit and have a conversation with someone and share real insight is really helpful. I know not every member of Congress actually answers their phones, but leaving those messages are important. Sending letters are important. Calling the district offices, that is important. And even if you're supporting what your member of Congress or your state or your senator is doing, let them know, hey, I'm behind you. I like this. Thank you for standing up, because that also impacts the staff and what is going on in these offices. And it does feel good to hear that, okay, we have people that are behind us. We're doing the right thing here, rather than just the opposing phone calls. But when it's something like this, you certainly need to call and let your concerns be heard. My constituents call me from a whole list of items that they're concerned with, and we keep record of that. We put them into different categories, whether it's water in Western Colorado, our energy independence that we need to get back here in America, securing the southern border. It goes so much beyond the Second Amendment. Americans are tired of paying $4, $5, $6 a gallon for gas. The inflation is hurting everyone. So all of these phone calls certainly matter. And to let your representative know that the reckless spending in Washington, D.C. has to stop. Take infrastructure, for instance. We all are in favor of infrastructure. We all support infrastructure. However, the infrastructure that went forward in last year was not infrastructure. 9% of a $1.2 trillion bill went to anything infrastructure related. It was a liberal wish list. And that is not something to subject your constituents to paying the bill for. I put forward an alternative infrastructure bill, the America Infrastructure Modernization Act, the AIM Act, and $650 billion from unspent COVID money went to actual infrastructure, nothing else. That should have been a no-brainer for everyone to get on board with and say, you know what, we don't have another $600 billion to spend, so let's just use this unspent COVID money and fund infrastructure. But this is the kind of stuff that we see on a regular basis. So it is so important to contact your representative, to contact your senator, and let them know what's on your mind.
And let me go back to something you said that I think is so important. Um, People are used to, just when they're mad, they fire off an email or they do something, or they make a phone call. But you know what? If when you say thank you, it goes a whole lot further, because you're not necessarily going to agree with a member every single time. But when a member, even if they're a far left Democrat and they happen to stumble upon the right answer by accident, thank them, because it's the single best way to get members to pay attention to people is to have members actually know that you're listening, and that when they do the right thing, they get praised. And it shocks people when Americans for Limited Government sends out praise press release into Democrat districts. I think the Democrats thinks we're trying to sabotage them, but it's actually designed to tell people that, hey, this person's doing something right. This isn't about, we don't have to hate each other. We can disagree without hating each other. And if we're going to, if this country is going to survive, we have to restore civility in this country. And that means being polite. When somebody does something good, pat them on the head. And when they do something bad, well, you have to let them know.
Right.
So that's something I can't emphasize that enough, that thanking people matters so much, because everybody's a human and everybody loves being thanked.
Right.
So it's Representative Boebert, I truly appreciate the time you've spent with us today. We've got a graphic up showing how to get a hold of you and how to follow you. It's boebert.house.gov on the web, or at Rep Boebert on Twitter. And I'll keep that running after you leave. But is there anything that you would like to leave the viewers and the people who are going to see this? We're going to send this out to hundreds of thousands of people. So anything you would like to leave them with in terms of a thought that you have about this country and about how we need to kind of get through this crisis?
Yes. So America is so resilient. The people of America are very strong, and we always come back stronger and better. And I have so much hope for our country right now. I'm a mother of 4. I have my husband at home, and I leave them every single day to fight for what I know is right, to fight for their future, and to make sure that they don't live in a socialist nation. And I would not leave them each and every day if I didn't believe that we could turn this around. So everyone who may be feeling down and sad or frustrated about what's happening in our country right now, put your hand to something to be a part of the solution, and take whatever frustration you may have and use that as motivation to be involved. Don't wait for permission. It's not coming. No one is going to invite you to a seat at the table, but be loud and be bold, and let people know what you are thinking. One of my favorite stories after being in Congress actually comes from the book of Exodus. And it's when Moses and the Israelites are standing at the Red Sea. Now, in my Bible, it says that the Egyptians had overtaken them. The enemy had overtaken them. Here they are at the Red Sea, and it looks like God is not there for them. It looks like they have been delivered into a trap where the enemy wins. Sometimes that's what America looks like. In our society right now, it almost feels that way, that we have been completely overtaken and there is no hope. But people started crying out to God, and I love his response. God always puts it back on us. We have authority here in our place. We need to position ourselves, and we need to be the ones that actually go out and do something. God has done everything he's already going to do. And his response when they cried out was, "Why do you cry out to me? Tell the people to go forward." We already have everything. We have been equipped with everything that we need pertaining to life and godliness. All we need to do is go forward with what we know is right, go forward in truth, and be bold when we do that. And you will see the impossible happen. You will see the waters part and the enemy swallowed up behind you. So I encourage everyone, no matter how down you may be feeling, no matter how much you're crying out, get up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and go forward. America will recover from this, and there are many, many wonderful people who are involved in getting us back to that place, and I have confidence that we will have that victory.
Representative Boebert, thank you very much. And for anybody who has been struggling with hope, I want to present to you a woman who took on the establishment, who won, who's young, mother of 4, married, sacrificing to come back to Washington, D.C. to fight for freedom. But the fact of the matter is, folks, this is the example of what America will be and the hope for America. And so if you sit there and you're saying, oh, the young people, rah, 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 here's a young person who's fighting for freedom unabashedly, and she's jumped the line to get into Congress, because guess what? If it matters enough to fight for, it matters enough to try to strive to put yourself in a position where you can influence things. And that's what she did. Thank you very much, Representative Boebert, for your courage, for your passion. And I would encourage everybody, follow this representative. She's a beacon of hope on Twitter at Rep Boebert. And obviously on the web, which she's got a lot of great great website up. It's boebert.house.gov. Thank you, Representative Boebert. And until next time, we really do appreciate all that you do. I'm going to stay on for a little bit here and just talk some of the other things that are going on, maybe a made-for-TV show that's going on tonight, some other things that might be happening. But I do appreciate all the time that you've spent with us. You've been very, very generous.
Thank you so much, Rick. I look forward to seeing you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
The folks, we're going to, let's see how we do this. Folks, we're going to talk a little bit about J6, and I know I didn't do comments, and I apologize. It's a but I'll look down a few comments here. Representative Boebert was on a pretty tight schedule, and she was very generous in giving us a few of her moments to talk about this important issue and what's going on in our country. And I will convey the enormous number of outpouring of thanks that have been shown in the comments. One of the things that I wanted to talk about beyond this is the January 6th Commission, and I specifically asked Representative Boebert on to talk about the gun issue, and so that's what we talked about. But we've got a TV show going on tonight that's a Pelosi TV show designed to try to ignite fervor against those who support Donald Trump, designed to try to ignite fervor based on the big lie that was told that there was this massive insurrection on January 6th. It's undeniable that people did enter the Capitol. It's undeniable that windows were broken. It's undeniable that there were people who were on these, they'll show all sorts of pictures and remind us about people hanging from the outside, a lot of the outside parts of the Capitol building. But what's also undeniable is that Donald Trump was speaking when the break-in occurred. He was speaking a good mile away at the Ellipse, which is at the other side of the Capitol Mall, right outside the White House. It's a good mile and a half from 16th Street to Capitol to the Capitol. So the people he was speaking to weren't at the Capitol. That's undeniable. It is undeniable that Donald Trump said, "Stop it." Americans for Limited Government put out a very strong statement urging peace, nonviolence, and for people to cease and desist from occupying the Capitol. And largely because I knew what was going to happen and how the Democrats and the left would use it as a cudgel against freedom, and they have. This show we're going to see tonight is going to be just that. I don't encourage people to watch it, largely because that'll just encourage them. It's going to be on every major network but Fox News. And so you're going to have 7, 8 networks carrying this. But, it's a great night to read a book. One of the things that's true is this is not a commission that's been seeking truth. This isn't a commission that, like the House impeachment hearings, this is a prosecution. It's not a truth-seeking mission. Nancy Pelosi denied the whole commission was set up under the guise that Republican Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy could appoint 5 members to the commission. That's to try to make certain that you have even-handed treatment. Nancy Pelosi refused to allow Representative Jim Jordan, Representative Andy Biggs, to be part of this commission because they would be effective defenders of the president's position, of what actually the truth was. They would have asked uncomfortable questions about what Nancy Pelosi's role was, why the Capitol while the Capitol Police were actually half staff on January 6th. Why, with intelligence in advance, why Nancy Pelosi denied the offering of 20,000 National Guardsmen to come to the Capitol in advance of January 6th. So those are kind of uncomfortable questions that Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have wanted asked. It doesn't fit the narrative of trying to create a sense that President Trump was the person who caused people to breach the Capitol when he wasn't. And so this is really about the third impeachment of Donald Trump. And I'm sick of it. I think you're sick of it. It's time for us to stand up and say, enough is enough. And I'm going to provide you with something here that I think you'll find interesting. I'm going to add this to the stream. If you look at on our Get Liberty website, go to getliberty.org and then go to Stop January 6th Witch Hunt. We have a petition there where you send an email to Kevin McCarthy and to the Republican, actually the whole Congress, telling them to stop the witch hunt, that enough is enough. And I think it's important right now for people to be heard on this. So if you feel like engaging on it, feel free to use the tool we provide. It's free of charge. I'll tell you the way it works. You basically fill out the form, you send an email to your congressman, to your two senators, and then a thing will come up that'll offer you the opportunity to support Americans for Limited Government, so I can get the word out about these, about what's going on to more and more people. There's the email sent. There's no need to give. Okay, we appreciate it, but there's no need to give. And then you click off that, and it's a thank you. So it's very simple. It's easy. It's free. It costs me money to do this tool, but it's part of our mission to get you engaged. So go there, Stop January 6th Witch Hunt, and utilize the tool. Same thing in terms of the Stop Biden's Gun Ban which is the center one here. I'll show you what that looks like. Just clicking on it. Oops. Clicking on it. So this is the Stop Biden Gun Ban one that we talked about with Representative Boebert. So just pretty straightforward and simple. Your Stop January 6th Witch Hunt. This is what it looks like. Okay, we got Liz Cheney there, one of the two Republicans who are providing cover to Nancy Pelosi, hopefully a soon-to-be former member of the House of Representatives. The other Republican member is giving cover to Nancy Pelosi. Adam Kinzinger has already announced that he's not running for re-election, and so he is no longer part of he's gone in terms of next year. But that's what it looks like for the Stop the Witch Hunt. And, I just wanted people to be aware of those. We have a unique opportunity in this country. Now is the time when we've been placed here to fight for freedom. I'm inspired by Representative Boebert's words. I hope you were. And let's just dig in and keep the fight up. And I know Americans for Limited Government will be doing just that. With that, I'd like to sign off and just thank you for joining us. And we will be back on tomorrow talking about another subject, maybe doing a recap of what you missed with the TV show, the made-for-TV prosecution, Star Chamber. But folks, keep the faith, and let's just keep pushing forward. America's greatest country on earth. Let's not let it become less on our watch. And with that, I'm going to kind of kick out of here if I can figure out how to do that. And oops, something's going horribly wrong. There we go. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for listening.